Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to feature the first watch I've ever come across in hand from this brand. So this is none other than Squale, or Von Squale, if you're going to read that logo there. So Squale, it seems to be very popular in some circles. You know, I think it's got an interesting history, and certainly it's quite different because originally it may have been founded in Switzerland, 1946. By von Buren, which I think is really what that von refers to, but subsequently it has been purchased by a family in Italy, and it's now headquartered in Milan, but they still produce their pieces in Switzerland, and that continues to be the case today. And Squale, you know, I didn't know this before, but Squale is like a French word for shark, hence the logo there, you know, that shark logo of Squale. So, you know, I found it interesting to find out that it wasn't an Italian word. That's what I was expecting it to be. So let's just get into this piece, which again has been kindly provided by my good friend Graham, local viewer and supporter, who has made his watches available. So, you know, blue overbox, blue slip, and blue cases in here, and I was kind of fooled into thinking I might be getting a blue watch actually, but it's not, as you can see. This is a black version. There's a bit of a tag there, and then just to show you the rest of this box, you can lift this up and you've got the kind of warranty and instruction manuals inside there. So that's really the box that this comes in. So let's open this up and get into the actual watch itself. So this one, as you can see ticking away there, this is the ETA 2824-2 movement, 28,800 beats per hour, 25 joule. You know, this is a movement that you would have seen in many pieces that are featured, and probably you have this in your collection if you are a watch collector and have a 3-hand Swiss watch. This is most likely the movement, right? 38 to 40 hour power reserve. It does have a quick set date implemented on that 3 o'clock window with the border, white disc, right, with black writing in this case. And it does have hacking and manual winding, just so you know, that's a completion for the information of the movement. The case here is 42mm across, and as I pan it around, right, just take a look at it. It's completely sandblasted, right? Apart from the case back and the crown itself may have some different texture there, it's completely sandblasted all the way around, and it's quite, you know, it's quite an interesting texture. You know, it's quite nicely done. It's really quite fine. Can't fault it at all. It's 316L steel. The thickness is 14mm here, 20mm lug width with the overhang that you see there on this particular rubber strap that it comes with. Lug to lug is 48mm across that distance there, and because it's a rubber strap, it's actually quite light overall, 107 grams at the scale. So with that screw-in case back, right, just let you have a look at the finishing and the wording that they do have there, right? 50 Atmos professional. It says it does have a 500-meter water resistance, matte black dial, right, on this model, which I forgot to say at the beginning. This is actually the 50 Atmos. The model number is 1521-026 matte finishing, right? So the matte black dial there, wholly printed, is something that I've noted, you know, that I have to note, right? The Squale at the top, Squale at the bottom, right? Professional, 50 Atmos at the bottom there, as well as the chapter ring and the hour markers, right? It's kind of like applied batches of superluminova, but there's no actual applied markers. It's a wholly printed matte black dial, right? Baton hands with orange surrounding the superluminova of the minute hand, right, and 60 click unidirectional black metal insert bezel on top of that. And right here I'll put up a loom shot so that you can appreciate how this particular superluminova works in the dark. It's just as good as you know, you would expect. You know, it's not, I think it's not the best superluminova I've seen, and that's partly related to the amount of application, but it works just as fine, and it works almost through the night in my experience. The glass on top is a flat sapphire crystal, and that's how they've done it on this particular watch. Okay, so the band here, right, rubber dive style, right, Squale there, right, rubber with some perforations on that side. And then the steel buckle is also having pleasingly, it has a matching kind of sandblasted finishing right there with the Squale logo that you can appreciate there on the tip of the buckle. Okay, so that's really the watch. The new version, I believe, has a slightly different rubber strap. They call it, I think, the Squale Tropic Rubber Type 2. And I don't know whether that's any better. They seem to describe that it's better. But I gotta say, there are rubber straps and there are rubber straps, and this one is better than, you know, in terms of feel and suppleness than a lot of the ones that I've seen in cheaper watches. So, you know, this watch retails for $8.99 from the Squale website, and slightly cheaper, I suppose, in other retailers you may be able to find elsewhere. So it's not, you know, a budget watch, and certainly this strap seems to be a notch up some of the other budget ones that I've seen. My XKX rubber strap that came with it, for example, this one just feels, it just feels a little bit more premium. It's hard to describe more than that. Right, so guys, what have I enjoyed about the Squale 50 Atmos? Right, firstly, the finishing, right? It really is quite well done. I mean, it's simple, right? There's no transitions they have taken on the case, but I think the sandblasting is quite finely done. You know, it really is very, very even, kind of a perfect finishing without any weaknesses that I can find, right? And it's quite different to a lot of watches, and I quite like it. I like the plain, straight up and down original design. It's kind of a no-nonsense design, 500-meter water resistant, right? It's just a very plain, simple dial, and hardly anything on the dial there, which, you know, a lot of people can appreciate. And it's got a solid workhorse movement, right? So this watch for, you know, close to 900, right? It's not the cheapest you can find for this movement, but, you know, it's got that solid ETA 2824. You can find, of course, pieces with lower price with the same movement. This one doesn't seem to be advertised as a higher grade movement, but the regulation is not bad. I gotta say, this is regulated to about +5 seconds per day, so it's pretty good and nothing to complain about there. All right, before I move on to the cons, let's just put on a wrist shot. And there we have it, the 42mm Squale 50 Atmos on the wrist. Right, just remember, lug to lug is 48, and I think it fits okay on me. And pleasingly, the size, it actually weighs smaller than you know, you might think, at least in my experience. Okay, so what has been the slight weaknesses, things I can criticize about this particular watch? I think the value proposition, there's some pros and cons here. So I think the dial being simple, being printed, non-applied, markers or branding, right? The dive bezel, whilst it's excellently done, very solid detents, it is only 60 click. So that always feels like, you know, they've shortchanged it a bit to me. You know, a company charging 900 for a watch, I think, you know, really, why can't they give 120 clicks, right? No, I'm not sure if there's any good reason for that. Right, the rubber strap, whilst it's good, it is a rubber strap. I very much prefer bracelets, you know me. If you've been following my channel, I'm very much a metal bracelet guy. I don't mind the odd NATO, but I'm not very fond of rubber. And certainly, I think if you're going to put a bracelet in, that would add value as opposed to a rubber strap. So there's some, you know, kind of weaknesses in the value proposition here. Like, people have criticized Invicta for their branding, but look at this: Squale at the top, Squale at the bottom of the dial, Squale at the side. Right? If you criticize Invicta for having Invicta on the side of the case, what do you think about Squale? Let me know. You know, I'd like to know your particular thoughts about this thing. You know, Invicta cop a lot of flack. I haven't heard Squale cop much flack for that. Lastly, I would say this crown recess, right? There's no crown guards. It's actually a recess crown. Makes it a little bit difficult to grab. You know, I found it difficult sometimes to grab it and unscrew, and then to tighten as well. You're kind of relying on the back here, so that can be a bit of a challenge, particularly if you have a little bit of slipperiness. You know, that's going to make it a bit of a challenge to screw and unscrew that particular crown. But it is very secure, I'll give it that. You know, it's nice and snug in there for sure. So guys, there we have it. Squale 50 Atmos, in this case is the 1521 series in -026 version. Let me know what you think. You know, if you have a Squale, I'd like to know which model you have and your particular experiences and feelings about the brand. It does seem to be very popular amongst some circles. So guys, thank you for sticking with me. If you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. New content weekly, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will catch you next time.